due diligence fee, initial earnest money deposit, additional earnest money deposit. What the hell does all that mean? Hey everybody, it's the Raleigh Realty Mom, Heather Taylor Petrovich, and today we are talking about deposits on a North Carolina contract. Now, maybe you've never purchased a home at all, or maybe you've purchased real estate in other places, and you may be used to just giving one deposit along with your offer. In North Carolina, we have the option to split your deposit into 3 parts. So today we're going to talk about those 3 parts, and we're going to talk about how much each of those deposits should be, which is the number one question most people ask. We're going to talk about the timing of each of those deposits. When are they given? We're going to talk about who holds each of those deposits. And very importantly, we're going to talk about which deposits are returned to you should the deal fall apart. So first of all, let's talk about the 3 different types of deposits. There is a due diligence fee, an initial earnest money deposit, and an additional earnest money deposit. Now, it's important to note that most often, you're only going to do 2 of those 3 options. You're always going to do the due diligence fee, and then your second deposit is either going to be initial earnest money or additional earnest money. Now, before I get into the details of that, let's talk about the dollar amount. An easy rule of thumb that I tell my clients is the total of all of those deposits should be approximately 1% of your offer price. So let's first talk about your due diligence fee. Your due diligence fee is due as soon as you are under contract. Your due diligence fee is a dollar amount that is given directly to the sellers. So most often it's in the form of a personal check. It's written out to Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It is given to them. If you decide to walk away from the deal, the seller keeps the due diligence fee. Now, let's talk for a minute about if you decide to walk away from the deal. In North Carolina, once you go under contract, you can expect contract to close to be anywhere from 30 to 60 days. The first couple weeks you are under contract is your due diligence period. The due diligence period typically lasts between 2 and 4 weeks. It's a negotiable amount of time that you will decide on while you're negotiating your contract. During that due diligence period, you as the buyer can walk away for any or no reason. The sellers keep that due diligence fee that you've paid to them if you walk away from the deal. Now let's talk about the other 2 parts of your deposit, your initial earnest money deposit and your additional earnest money deposit. First of all, either of those types of deposits are held by an escrow agent. So that money, that check is written to the escrow agent, often the closing attorney, to hold. Now the difference is initial earnest money is something that is given within the first 5 days after you're under contract. It can be a personal check, you write it to the escrow agent holds it. If you then walk away from the deal during that due diligence period, the escrow agent is going to return your earnest money to you. Now that brings us to additional earnest money. Occasionally, instead of an initial earnest money deposit, people will opt to do an additional earnest money deposit. The thinking on this is often, well, if I'm just going to put money in escrow and then if I walk away, that money's going to be returned to me, why don't I just wait until the due diligence period is over and then I'll put money in an escrow account? When that is done, it is done as additional earnest money. Most often it is given the day that your due diligence ends. Now, one additional challenge of additional earnest money is that it has to be in the form of a bank check or immediately available funds. So there's no writing a personal check for additional earnest money. As I mentioned early on in this video, most often you're going to do a due diligence fee and then one of the 2 types of earnest money deposits. Now, you may be asking yourself, in what circumstance would I do one versus the other? Let's back up to something I mentioned earlier, which is that your total deposits often will be approximately 1% of your offer price. Now, how you're going to split those up is going to depend on the type of offer that you're making. What is the market condition where you are? Are you in a multiple offer situation? Has the house been sitting on the market for a long time and they're desperate to sell it? These are going to be the factors that you consider when you decide how to split up that deposit. For example, if you're in a multiple offer situation, you're going to jack up that due diligence fee to show that you're really serious and to make your offer more favorable. You also may include an initial earnest money deposit to show that you're not only willing to give a big due diligence fee, but you're willing to put some money in escrow and have it on hold while you go through your due diligence process. Now, say you're in a situation where the house has been on the market for a long time. You may make your due diligence fee lower, You may not include an initial earnest money deposit, and you may decide to simply do an additional earnest money deposit once your due diligence period has ended. Again, all of these things are going to depend on your situation, and that is where having an excellent agent who knows what they're doing will help you. Hopefully this has cleared up any questions you may have on the 3 ways that a deposit in North Carolina can be split up. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me at RaleighRealtyMom@gmail.com. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time.